What's up, Skullwalker here with Imagination Creation Films, and today we're talking about this. You can't really see it because it's over there, but the Gone in 60 Seconds intro remake behind the scenes, that's what we're chatting about today. So let's chat about this Gone in 60 Seconds remake. I want to go over the scope, planning, details, shooting, and the rig itself, as it's using the Kessler CineShooter with Chaos, now allowing 8 axes of movement, as well as the new Kessler Power Block. But first, if you haven't seen it yet, here it is.
Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. All the systems make you yawn. Simple loops move beyond. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. All the systems make you yawn. Simple loops move beyond. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got 8 axes now. Motion going up, Chaos got it down. CineShooter's got.
So Kessler asked me to create something really cool showing off the 8 axis, and although several of my ideas were shot down initially, I don't know why, I did find someone with 2 live elephants. Yes, you can order Starburst fruit chews in a vegetable flavor, and flying in an F-18 is not actually that hard to schedule at all. Okay, well, the last part was made up, but which one of the last parts? Guess down below which one of those down below was made up and which was true, and put it in the comments. Can't wait to see what you think. Also, it's a great time to subscribe because today is that famous day, the day of the week that ends in Y, which means subscribe. I digress. Kessler said,
Scott, I'd really love if you would just show off the full capabilities of our 8-axis CineShooter.
so I naturally said, hey, Freaking Rig 2.0 is at your service. And I want to go tackle that Gone in 60 Seconds intro you've always liked. I've got this kind of like really cool plan with a custom song and everything, to which Kessie said something like,
I'm not finished. I just want you to show our system in the simplest off-the-shelf form.
to which I said, oh, okay, I'll come up with something. But can I still do the Gone in 60 Seconds intro remake with Freaking Rig? And Kessie said,
Scott, seriously? Elephants? What are you thinking? You think you're Ryan Connolly or something? You don't even have my credit card. How about I just send you some power blocks and see what you can do with those?
and use them. I did. More on them in a minute. So I watched the intro a few times to get the, general idea. And then I tried a couple of tests to see how far I could push my rig. And many of you saw that in the Kessler 8-axis announcement video. I was working on the intro in the background too. And I was attempting to do it all as a oneer, which was working out better as a twoer, because of the sheer number of keyframes. It kind of looked like this. And it wasn't bad. It was not that bad at all. And so I knew I could pull it off. But now it was time to truly study how it was shot and recreate it for real. So I made a bunch of crude notes and hammered out a shot list, mapping out each of the moves on paper. And then I realized that they cheated a ton on this intro. There were so many cuts, both visually and hidden. So now the 8-axis rig became a machine to speed up production as well as just make the moves. And that enabled me to quickly create the motion of each shot and play it back very quickly, as I, never needed to move the entire rig. It's funny, the motion was the fastest part of the shoot. The set decoration, planning, etc., that all took the longest time. And we'll dive into that, a little bit on this and some on another video. For the motion control rig, I built up Frankenrig, a few times, improving a few things here and there. But now with 8-axis ability and chaos, I could really make some moves, so to speak. Now, we start with the Kessler shuttle dolly on their quick rails. And on the shoot, I had 2 sections of quick rail, but for the BTS, I shortened it so it would take up less space and allow me to walk around a lot easier. This gave me about 7 foot of dolly in and out. Now, the shuttle dolly has an incredible payload capacity, so where the whole rig goes next doesn't even phase it. So now I'd like a lift. And the Kessler Pocket Jib Pro was, perfect for this, as it can handle a bunch of weight and it's super sturdy. But Kessler doesn't make a motorized jib, and that didn't stop me at all. I used a TLS motor mounted on a plate that was bolted in between the Kessler Hercules head and tied off the belt to the front and the back of the jib. Now I have a very competent boom that can go up and down vertically about 3 feet. But I'd also like to be able to swing the jib side to side. This is where the Kessler power block comes in. I was able to mount it to the side of the shuttle dolly and attach a simple articulated arm to the jib and to the power block. And you could also use 80-20 rail to build something like this, but I used a different standard. And now I have about 110 degrees of swing. Now we're talking. At the head of the Pocket Jib Pro is the brain of the operation, the CineShooter, with the roll axis and a focus motor. And to get the focus motor up and out of the way, I'm using another new product that I can't really talk about yet. It's not from Kessler, it's from another new company, but it solved a little problem of keeping my lens free and clear to sweep through my sets. So now I have 7-axis, all in a Frankenrig 2.2, powered by CineShooter and a second shooter Pro, which are linked, which left 1 axis available for some effects. One of which was, say, raising an action figure up and out of frame simply by winching it with some monofilament. Now, the movement is ready. Let's move on. So this intro was going to be, as close as I could get to the original, and that required a few more things. First, some photos, as the intro featured several photos in time throughout. I reached out to Eric and, I got a few funny pics from him and a few from Kessler shooters over the years. So I've got the moves planned, a ton of set deck, photos next. We need lighting. Yeah. The lighting on the original, it was a combination of hard and soft gelled lights. And I was testing out the infinity bars from Aputure at the time, and I realized, I could put them in a rectangle around the set and generate the soft gelled lights from any direction. And I used the ProLight 300FS for the gelled hard light. All of them were full RGB plus, and it made lighting a breeze sitting right here at my little command center. For a camera, I decided to shoot with my Red Dragon for a couple of reasons. Number one, I like it. But really, number one, it's got a huge dynamic range. It allowed me to capture super saturated colors without clipping, as well as all the specular highlights that were glinting off of, well, everything, and it did it without clipping. And 2, because of the frame averaging mode, which allowed me to shoot very clean in a pseudo time-lapse mode, and it gave the images a sense of scale with motion blur. Everything was really small, and the camera was big, and it needed to get right in there. So taking a page from ILM and doing it that way. Lens selection was important as well. There were a couple of shots that could only be done with the probe lens, so that was an easy selection. But now I needed a lens that gave a sense of scale, so it needed to be fairly wide. It needed to be super sharp, but also focus very close. The Sigma 18-35 was actually perfect for this. But there's more to that look, and I needed some filters to create some of that character that was visible. And PA Tears from Revar Cine was, well, the basis of everything. Coupon code below if you're looking for that one. Yeah. PA Tears gives a fairly strong silvery bloom that mimicked quite a bit of the original look, but it wasn't quite strong enough. I needed a lot more, and I found adding the Format High Tech Low Contrast number 2 with the PA Tears stacked together. It actually gave me the perfect look with a lot of bloom. It was really, it nailed it. Now, I needed a song. It couldn't just be any song. It needed to really feel like the original, which was very unique, but it couldn't be a direct copy. It needed to be a song about the product, as, well, I tend to like to do that. It needed to have some soul and to have some roughness to it. And I reached out to my friend Bill Hertzing and asked him to take on the challenge of rewriting this song. And, well, I'll probably do a short interview video with him at some point because, yeah, the song he created, it fit perfectly. I then found a great vocalist, and she recorded the verse and the chorus about 16 times each. And I layered about 10 of the best ones to create the verse, and wow, she really gave the song the feel it craved. So, I have all the parts ready to go, so let's shoot this thing. The process was quite simple. I'd use Chaos to set up the beginning of the shot and place the camera right where it needed to be, and then I started adding set decoration. And to be honest, set dec took the most amount of time, and quite frankly, was the most creative and fun part. Finding little trinkets and things that would mimic the look that they did on the original while giving it a Balkan flair at the same time. So once the set dec was ready, I'd sit here at my little desk with my live camera view, my full control remote for my Red Dragon, and Chaos running on my Windows machine. And I'd assign the first keyframe, and then move to the next major change of motion, and then set keyframes there, and then move to the end, dropping keyframes where it was required without making it overcomplicated. Then I'd scrub backwards, seeing where the camera would end up, and adjust curves to get it right on track, while trying to remove as many of the keyframes as I could. Now, over the years, I've found not to complicate things with too many keyframes. You'll be surprised how a highly configurable curve can make your move do exactly what you want. And it's so nice to not have limitations, not only on the number of axes that you have, but also the freedom to set the curves exactly how you want them. Not just here's a point curve. You draw them the way you want. Back to the process. I'd rehearse a move a couple of times and, well, make a few tweaks as necessary and then record it. And there ended up being 24 shots in this video, and it took me a few days to get all the shots. Honestly, the set dec took the absolute longest, and I worked by myself for 90% of the shots. My wife did help for the last 10%. And if I would have had like a full crew, I would imagine I could have shot all 24 shots in one day. The motion moved that quickly. All in all, it was a ton of fun, and it was certainly challenging at times to figure out how I was going to move the camera, but being able to sit in a master control and just operate the spacecraft, so to speak, it was pretty great. I really enjoyed creating this, and well, I hope you enjoyed me making it as well. Now, I'll be dividing off into a few other little videos here and there about how various parts were done is I think many will find them interesting. And it honestly was a great challenge to pull off something like this by myself using, the power of Kessler Chaos and CineShooter and Power Block and all the other Kessler gear. It's honestly amazing how much you can do with their gear. I get quite a bit of range and motion of, say, a full $200,000 robot at a fraction of the price. Now, clearly, I don't have the speed that a $200,000 robot has, but it's surprising how often you just don't need that speed. Just ramp your motion with curves to counteract inertia, and you can pull off some incredible shots and some incredible movement that, make your own Frankenrig. So what are you interested in seeing much more close up and detailed? Any of this? All of this? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to see what you think. And remember, you can support the channel by becoming a channel member, like these wonderful supporters right here. And you can make the difference in one filmmaker's life, and most likely buy dog treats for Rex, but he's there. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.